pit.
Hello everybody, welcome back. So we're going to talk on this one just about altcoins, right? And an altcoin overview. So nothing to do with Bitcoin, just an altcoin situation, right? So first of all, we're just going to start with the Bitcoin dominance. And this has always been a really good way to navigate a rotation from Bitcoin to altcoins, or just the general strength of altcoins and the overall projection of altcoins as a whole, right? Bit of a blanket overview and less of a thing to look at than it used to be. We're looking at this on a monthly chart, and it was always about a matter of support and resistance. That's pretty much all it's ever been about, really. Support versus resistance on a Bitcoin dominance chart. We used to have an ascending channel which we used to be able to play. We played that for the best part of 2 years, and then since then, as we came down to the bottom of the channel again, it worked out pretty well towards the top, and then obviously getting out of this into an altcoin position. Since being down at this considerably low level, though, it's always been a general rule, which is the lower the Bitcoin dominance goes, the larger of a Bitcoin position you want to have, right? But as the overall market cap of crypto and altcoins in general seem to be relatively strong, and the retailers more interested in picking up things like Doji and Shiba and all this kind of stuff, as well as Ethereum generally being a bit of a powerhouse amongst crypto, it's kept this whole thing down. It's not just Ethereum, as obviously XRP has always been, large market cap, and you've got all these new boys on the block, like Sol and Luna, which are absolute beasts. So there's a lot of reasons for the Bitcoin dominance to remain relatively low and never go back up to its all-time highs, which is effectively in the 70% zones, right? But never say never. These things can always happen. But generally, it would appear that with the nature of crypto, the evolution of altcoins, basically moving into a new era, really, of large market caps, effectively being if you can think of altcoins almost like the tech sector of the of Nasdaq or whatever, do you know what I mean? So there is a separation now between the Bitcoin and altcoins aren't the pile of crap that they used to be, although the vast majority of them definitely are piles of crap. So that's the Bitcoin dominance chart, and we are looking at about this really as a support resistance for any kind of major alt season. Now, alt seasons, in my opinion, are longer periods, over weeks, several weeks, maybe even longer, where you could basically expect enormous moves from altcoins. Now, there's a difference between alt rallies and alt seasons. There's all kinds of things that can spark this, and one of the main reasons I'm making this is obviously we all want to know about altcoins. We like the speed of altcoin gains, but it's also there's a lot of talk about XRP, right, and the XRP SEC lawsuit winning or ending, and likely being a win. We can already see that sort of narrative is driving this chart already. This is just the XRP on a 4-hourly. Now, we were looking at this just last night, and we were saying, well, to be honest with you, the long signal that we got was actually cancelled out, and although it's not the end of the world, just having an Ichimoku cloud cancelling its signal out, we weren't really expecting a great deal from it, but I see that there is a narrative that's now entered into the realms of social media suggesting that the XRP SEC lawsuit is due to end very shortly, and it comes as no surprise. I would be surprised if they lost it, but it would come as no surprise that they won it. I've always been an advocate of XRP in general, one of those things that I've ended up accumulating by default just through the use of Bybit coin futures. To be honest with you, I've been doing it for years now. Ended up acquiring more than enough at XRP, probably in a ridiculous. I'm not going to say how much I've got, but it's a stupid amount. To be honest with you, it's a stupid amount, and it was just done through futures trading, really, rather than just buying it with my own actual money. But I have there's a special place in my heart for XRP because it is the altcoin that made me probably the most amount of money. It was my first dip into the into the world of crypto, and I bought XRP basically in 2016, maybe 17. For about 3 cents, really. It wasn't easy to grab, to be honest, back then, and it wasn't that easy to sell it, to be honest with you. But I've managed to buy low and sell pretty high, and it really sort of has a special place in my heart. And since then, I suppose I've stuck with my overall view, which is that it's too risky not to have XRP, although it has always been a bit of an underperformer to say the least. But it's been relatively good to trade. Anyway, this isn't particularly about XRP, but I'm saying that there are certain narratives that and reasons why alts as a whole could have little rallies, right? Or the entire market, altcoin market could have a rally, and in something like SEC winning the lawsuit is likely to be one of them. Could it end up going into an alt season is the question, I think, on most people's lips. And the answer, I suppose, is yes, it could. And that would be driven not so much on a technical basis, looking at risk to reward, basing it around Bitcoin dominance and total market cap, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum, for entry points generally, for the entire market to run. Obviously, if there's a narrative that's involving XRP, the main thing you'd want to be trading is XRP, but the market could get carried with that. So Bitcoin dominance at the moment of obviously in an uptrend, and I would expect it to continue in an uptrend, especially with the sentiment, which is basically generally quite bearish overall, and the narrative of Bitcoin being a store of value in this crazy world that we're living in, over the last week, really. So there is reasons for Bitcoin to outperform altcoins just through that. Never mind the technical view of the Bitcoin dominance chart, which clearly wants to continue to go up, right? Going from strength to strength. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the dollar index. It reminds me of the Dixie. It does remind me of that. So people saying that the dollar is going to go down for the rest of its life and go to a zero, and lo and behold, it perked up and recovered. It's similar to the way that the Bitcoin dominance chart has basically behaved. So you think about this enormous collapse of the dollar, and then an accumulation at a low level, coming up to the top, back down to the bottom, up to the top, sort of, then carrying on. So it's a similar reaction, I think, and a similar kind of chart. So if we think about the way that the dollar's moved, we think about the way that the Bitcoin dominance is moving. So there's a lot of denial, I think, that Bitcoin dominance will break out and go up towards 50%. I think to be honest with you, I think it is inevitable that it will do that. And I think the largest move for Bitcoin dominance is probably up towards the upper 40s to begin with. Again, just like the dollar index, you come down to these lows, you snake around here to start with, and we can play this range. And overall, I wouldn't really be looking to enter into any particular altcoins personally until we get to a significant top of one of these resistances. So first will be in 47.5% dominance. So you go have a quick look over here. This is the total market cap excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? So all other altcoins combined. This is the monthly chart. It's like a delayed fuse, I would say, of what we saw for Bitcoin. However, this is a monthly chart, and there is significant supports not too far below us. We've got the 21 and the 20, which is not too far from where we are right now. And again, this is for all all altcoins of smaller extents, but it's basically taking out the two major players of the crypto market, leaving us with a market cap of 663 billion. Sorry. I am dyslexic, by the way. I'm obviously dyslexic with numbers, but quite a nice figure there, and a potential pullback of this to these lower levels before we get a significant bounce. Now that could be enough to cause a nice rally for all altcoins in general, as it's an obvious area to be bouncing from. We can see that this chart on its own has respected moving averages, mostly the 10 exponential on the way up, and once that's been that's been given back now, and that proving to be resistance. So there is resistances and supports on moving averages being respected on this chart. So that would suggest that overall altcoins could come down by another 20% overall, as in the market cap, and then find a really decent, maybe dead cat bounce or continuation, therefore, on these levels. So it's it ties into what we would look at on the Bitcoin dominance chart, which is a further move up to a particular level of interest, and then a move back down. That would basically be an alt season, so a prolonged period of time for altcoins to move. Look at Bitcoin total market cap excluding Bitcoin while keeping Ethereum in play. It's more or less the same thing. And if we were to pull back for this we'll be looking at about 20% retrace as well before a bounce. And again, you can see the moving averages being respected on the way up, 10 exponential being the main player. Now it's a resistance, so we would be looking for probably the exponential rather than the simple moving average, although there is a bit of leeway there to be hit. So we're talking about 844 billion to potentially just short of 800 billion. So there's reasons for alt seasons to begin, even though the market's going down. So if Bitcoin pulls back, this will certainly pull back, and these would be areas of particular interest for bounces. Another thing we could look at would be Ethereum to Bitcoin, just on a chart basis, right? And this is a little bit cynical. This is a bearish formation. We're inside a descending triangle. We're catching supports on the bottom. This support goes back a long period of time, and we just got a bounce on there yesterday. And again, you could just look at this and go, horizontal support, got to be in it to win it, give it a go. But while in the greater context of a consolidation with a death cross coming in as well, being below the cloud and effectively below all major moving averages, you strip all the bare bones away, and what you've got is a consolidation that's still in play. Just below this area though, and the reason we're talking about Ethereum to Bitcoin this time is because this can often just generally drive the market. We've spoken about the narrative that could drive altcoins, in the short term, which would be XRP winning its lawsuit. That kind of sentiment could cause everything to continue. And we could break this formation to the up. But the reason we talk about Ethereum to Bitcoin is just gives us an idea of the general, who's boss at the moment. And this consolidation, being a Bitcoin pair, shows that Bitcoin is still boss. And until we carry on in an uptrend, we are boss. So this, in the short term, is a bearish formation. We're still within it. We haven't decided which way or another we're going to go. We could break to the up and resolve this consolidation and break out. We could break down from here, which is more likely. But just below us here is this massive long trend, which has been previously part of this megaphone this megaphone formation that we were able to trade successfully, from the beginning of the alt season, the beginning of the bull market, basically, all the way back in 2019 through 2020. So you come to the bottom, up to the top, down to the bottom, up to the top, down to the bottom, up to the top, down to the bottom, up to the top, and a breakout, right? So this is something we were able to do pretty well once it had become established, making the most of it when we saw that this was very, very much a formation that was at least able to be played within the formation, never mind expecting a breakout. These are more obvious for breakouts than breakdowns, but it's still a relevant trend line, okay? And that is not too far from where we are. If we were to break down from here. So if we did break down from here, and again, if you break down towards the end of an apex of an ascending or descending triangle, most of the time it's a fake out, right? It's a fake out. So you could be a fake out breakout or a fake down breakout. If that makes sense. So we're to be honest with you, we're too close towards the end for this to be in any way, shape or form a breakout and then continuation, or a breakdown and continuation. It's almost like a failed thing. And this is what I often say about these sort of formations, is that what they are is a guide, that it's a consolidation. It's just that it's the descending trend line which is the most important thing. These supports, again, just break down, then you got another one below it, break down, another one below it. The main thing to focus on is this descending trend, which is what we've got here. It's a consolidation and it continues. So until we break out of there, well, even if we just break out and snake sideways and then test lower and then go up, that's where we get excited, is where we see that we've finally broken out of here. And again, excitement is to be taken with a pinch of salt, but that's the main thing to think about. But if we were to break down from here, we do have this area. It's never been tested as support, but because the resistance was such a big deal, I would expect to see that it would work as a support. I would be interested to see if it did, and I would probably put a fair bit of weight on it if it were to be tested. And if that was to be the case, we could then take away this descending triangle and zoom out, and what we would have instead would be an ascending triangle, which is actually more bullish than bearish. Again, we're still within a formation, looking to resolve it one way or another, but you're more likely to resolve this in a breakout than a breakdown, whereas this formation, the descending triangle, you're more likely to break down from it than break out. So either way, Ethereum has got, there's certain things on this chart which you could look at with a degree of optimism. But generally speaking, alt season, in my opinion, an alt season is going to be driven by technicals rather than anything that XRP is doing. XRP can do its little bit, and obviously I'm always an advocate for it. And like I said at the beginning, I've accumulated an inordinate amount of this almost just by default, really, for doing coin futures on Bybit. It's always been one of my favourite charts to trade, and I've ended up with just a ridiculous amount of XRP. So I'm all for it, and I just leave it to do its thing most of the time. So yeah, I'm all up for the XRP going for a run, like it does do. I'm all up for that. But will it carry the rest of the altcoin market with it? Well, arguably it could, but would that be an alt season, or is that just a rally for altcoins? I think the technicals on the largest picture, what we're looking at here for Bitcoin dominance and the total market cap excluding Ethereum and excluding Bitcoin, both of them, total market cap, total 2 and total 3, suggest that there is a little bit more pain to come for altcoins before what we could then maybe entertain a real alt season. And again, it wouldn't be anything like what we saw in January, but it could be pretty significant and reasonably well sustained, talking several weeks worth of decent moves basically. And again, when we're talking about decent moves, we could be looking at the small cap coins that you find on KuCoin, all those shit coins stroke KuCoin gems. You know, they're the shit coins now, but they're the KuCoin gems of the future if you catch them at the right time. And again, there's obviously a much larger degree of risk tolerance which is required to do that, but I would suggest you have you should be locked and loaded, ready for a potential trading environment when it comes to small cap coins, and rather than just basing them on their charts on their own, looking at a grand overview of a picture of how and where the money will flow into those environments rather than particular coins. I mean, obviously some things will be left behind, some things will go to the moon, but we look at the environment, and a trading environment would be these precursors. Total market cap excluding Bitcoin and excluding Ethereum suggests that a 20% drop in market cap is probably the safest and best place to give it a go, bringing us to a decent opportunity to take on some extraordinary risk. I wouldn't take on that risk right now, but given these levels down here would be one, and given this area up here for Bitcoin dominance would be another. Both of those together would be like the perfect storm, I would say, for a decent alt season. And it would definitely be worth trying it. And again, trying it blindly. You know, looking at I'm not like, I don't know all the altcoins in the world, but some of the ones that I've traded, in the past, and the ones that I'll be expecting the most from would be things like, off the top of my head, you got VRA, you got things like BITRUE, Uno, all those things. I'm not going to give them bad names, but all those sort of things like that, they will be catching decent rallies just based on the fact that the order books right now are extremely thin, the communities are rather high, and it will be the perfect setting and setup for these small cap coins to really make some decent runs and returns. But again, just like we've been saying for the last, feels like a couple of months now, altcoin gains need to be bagged. They don't need to be, you shouldn't really leave them to run too high. Take profits on the way up, make sure your investment's taken out, get some profit on top of that, and by all means leave the rest to ride. That's one of my favourite strategies anyway. I take my investment out, take profit once, maybe take it again, bag some profit and let the rest ride. I've got all kinds of altcoins that I bought back in 2019, 2020 into 21 that had exactly that strategy. Take the investment out, make some profit, let the rest ride, see where it does. And they do pretty well, some of them don't, but it doesn't really matter. It's kind of just like free, isn't it? Bang it into staking if you want to, but it's all kind of like free crypto that kind of just rides. Whatever you do, don't cheat yourself out of your own gains by always chasing that next level. Make sure that you're playing it safe. Because trust me, when altcoins drop, they drop, and if we're looking at effectively an altcoin season based upon market cap of essentially something that looks like it's dwindling in the first place, then yeah, you don't want to lose it. This monthly definitely looks like it's losing steam, but it could be the bounce that takes us to the absolute moon. But there's a lot of going on in the world right now that suggests that altcoins really don't have any kind of value to it. It's the last thing that you want. We're talking about a trading setup here, which, you know, again, like a praying mantis. You've got to sit on that leaf and wait for something to come in front of you. We're looking at a monthly chart here, so don't be staring at it for too long, but just keep it in the back of your mind, in the corner of your eye, for what could be a really good trading environment for small cap altcoins. Right, I'll leave it with you there though, and a nice little bit of hope even for you there, and it's realistic. Like I say, it's realistic. It's not just for nothing. It's all realistic. I made a pretty pessimistic video this morning about Bitcoin, but I feel like it's time to show that there is still ways to make some decent cash, and altcoins are obviously a really good way of doing that, but it is definitely about timing and not getting too excited. Right, we'll leave it with you there. Eyes on the prize, and yeah, I hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.